The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, Jesus exclaimed, I give praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. For although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to little ones. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My brothers and sisters, on the Sunday when we celebrate the feast of the most Sacred Heart of Jesus, I recall Saint Ignatius of Loyola. I don't know many of you who know him, but Saint Ignatius is the father of the spiritual exercises, a method of retreat that enables you to experience God within your reality. The spiritual exercises, very important for religious life, but also for anyone who wish to live happy and at peace and have God in his life. Do the spiritual exercises. Saint Ignatius Loyola is also the founder of the Society of Jesus, the congregation that Pope Francis has vowed had took the perpetual promise. The Society of Jesus is also the one who formed me years ago. Saint Ignatius said in his writing and also in the spiritual exercises that love manifests itself in deeds, not in words. Love is action. Love cannot be a word that people can spell to send a message or a text, L-O-V-E. Love is not merely a shape or the image of the heart with a narrow touch into that. But why do we praise the heart of Jesus is Sacred Heart? How can we, who believe in God, can distinguish the Sacred Heart and our heart? What the difference? God's heart differs to many other hearts because God's love is unique and unconditional. You see it from the first reading that was taken from the book of Deuteronomy. The theme, the message of this reading is the Lord set his heart on you and chose you. At this same podium, 2 days ago, Archbishop Joseph presided the Mass of the solemnity of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the ordination of 13 of our men to become priests. He told the community and those who were chosen to be ordained priests, after from 7 to 10 to 11 years in formation and education, he made this clear statement. Today, you are here, the congregation and the candidates for ordination, not because we are excellent, not because we are holy, not because we are perfect, not because we have tried our best to achieve something, but because God has loved us first. God took the initiatives to love us. But why are people not feeling God's love? From your own experience, you might have remembered when you try to communicate with someone about her or his beauty or handsome, they ignore you. From your experience of being parents, sometimes you felt disappointed or hopeless because the children cannot understand your love. The same in human experience of God. Sometimes we don't understand how God could love us, because we think when one loves someone, the lover has to please the beloved and do what the beloved wants. Saint Ignatius explained that is not true. The real love for Saint Ignatius that he learned from God through his personal experience with God is this: love communicates a change between the lover and the beloved. Not just one way. One way cannot be called real love, but needs mutual communication. Ignatius went further to explain, don't think that you have nothing to give God. Don't think you just come to God and to receive. No, God wants a lot from each of us. God wants a lot from each of us because He loves us. Have you ever been jealous with somebody? Why? Because you want the totality of that person. You want the person whom you love is yours. God speaks the language of love in the same manner. God wants us. But He wants us to be us. He doesn't want you to be the form that He likes, because He already formed you and I in His image and likeness. That's all. He never retracts what He has been granted. But He wants us to be happy as He is. He doesn't want to compromise with our ungodly things, because that doesn't lead us to salvation. If God doesn't love us and doesn't take the initiative to love us, He disregards of whom we are and what we're doing. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Have you ever said that to someone who don't listen to you? I don't care. Go do whatever you want. the psychic of hopeless. But God always strives to persuade us, to go after us, to make us return to Him so that we can be genuinely happy as the way He formed us. You see, in the old human history, or in other words, the Old Testament, God was a figure of a divine because people did not see God in the human image like after the disciples and people have seen Jesus. In the past, in the Old Testament, in the old history of humankind, no one could have seen God. But they heard of God through the prophets. But through the prophets, we have experienced the patience of God. God kept forgiving, kept scaring people. If you don't listen to me, you will be dying. If you not belong to me, you will be dead. God punished people with only words, with the love of the parents who scare the children to stop him from doing bad things. But God could never success because He did not use His power, but He used His love. Very patient. Keep going after. Keep going beside. Keep people accompanying. But when the fullness of the relationship between God and humankind arrives, God sent Jesus. As you see from the second reading, John wrote this: no one has seen God. But if you can love, if you can experience good love, you experience God. Let me clarify about good love. Have you experienced bad love? Bad love are those parents, I don't want to look at anyone, those parents who did not or do not think of the better for their children. There are parents, I don't want to point out any of you, but there are parents who just want to make the children to be their equipment or the tools to serve their aim. Those parents who I want you to become doctors. I want you to become lawyers. Even I want you to become priests, nuns, so that I can get the front rows in the church. That is bad love. That is bad love. Good love needs discernment. Discernment is a very particular word in religious life. Discernment is the weighing, consideration, making comparison, which one is better. This plan can be good, but is there a better plan? So if you have experienced these circumstances or situation, you understand why sometimes we think different than God. We think this is good. God, I think if you get me that job with a better salary, with a better insurance, with a better benefit, is good. But God has a better plan. God has a better plan for us. Why? Because He doesn't think of the ungodly values. From my spiritual direction, spiritual advice, from my hearing confession, from my spiritual accompany with people, I have heard and learned this. Some young people think a better job, a better life means more money. But money is something but not everything. Remember this. Money is something but not everything. How many people or family, when they have acquired a lot of properties, they become divorced or separated? How many people who have spent a lot of times and energies at their workplace, but they find nothing at home? How many, maybe many of you, experience feeling in a middle of a reception is chaos, but finding yourself sitting in this congregation before God is at peace? How many of you have reflected? The moment you sit in an auditorium, a meeting, a conference, a seminar, and the moment every Sunday you come here and sit before God, make distinction. Different because God has loved us more than anyone else. I would like to remind you, during the Easter season, you heard the story in the Gospel of John, chapter 21, when Jesus appeared after his resurrection to the disciples. He asked Peter, "Do you love me more than this? More than this?" The more than this is very important, because he wants the disciples to know that he loved them more than anyone else. He loved us more than anyone else. Therefore, he also wants us to experience, as he said in the gospel I proclaim to you today, according to Matthew, "Come to me." Come to me doesn't mean that come and you do nothing. Come to God and work with him. He asks you to do what? Who labor, who are burdened, come to him and you will get rest. If you just read until that one, tomorrow you want to try it, tomorrow quit your job, come and sit here the whole day, you will be panted out. No one will come and feed you. Father Peter will come and chase you out of the church because he thought you are homeless. That's not the way we understand the gospel. Try. Or even now after Mass, go home, don't make brunch, don't go to the restaurant. Go to the square before the statue of Mary, just stand there until the afternoon, see what happened. Come to God. He will have you rest. No. The word rest also means rely. Come to God and rely on him. You have something rest on the table. Means something rely or laying on something. Come to God, he will have you rest, mean we can lean on him. Lean on him. So today, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, remember, God came to share with us his human experience, but with divine love. Remember that. God has come to share his love with us in his human form, but with divine love. So that you don't be blinded when you pray. You see how God prays? Don't be blinded to be freeing yourself unmindfully and challenge God. Okay, now Father Joseph says, you love me, I don't have to do anything. You will take care. No. God asks you to come. Invite you to come means giving you to make effort, to walk over Him, to run over Him, to go, to change the position where you are. Think of your life. How good is your life? How bad is your life? How average is your life? You need to change. To change the unworldly values of your life to become sacred. Make it sacred. Make it belong to God and aim at godly values. So I pray for you this week, and I also ask you, as I mentioned at the beginning, that we remember on the priest who have dedicated his life to serve the church and to serve people, now retire. I also to ask you to pray for all the priests who are working, for the David, for the Peter, all the priests whom have come to your life from when you were little children, went to church, received communions, who taught you catechism. So remember all of them. Pray for them this week so that they can become Christ-like to people. They can love people in the way that aim at a better salvation. I also ask you to pray in particular for me, your priest. You can demand of me for all your pastoral needs, so pray for me so that I can remain as good as God have asked me to be. And I advise you, as we celebrate the Sacred Heart of Jesus, I would like you every day when you begin your days, just 1 second of a day, imagine God in front of you, telling you, I love you. Live in accordance with that love. Live in a way that we can be worthy with that love. Let every day this week begins with the light of God's love for you, so that at the end of your day, you can go back home and rest in His love.